Hey, welcome back to the Golden Spoon Podcast. I'm McCall.
And I'm Jeremy.
And today we have an exciting guest, or tonight, whenever you're listening, Alice Rizzi, who is a psychologist out of New York, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's here with us. She's going to be talking about mindfulness in your daily life, and I'm super excited. So, Alice, you're there. I've heard you on the line, which is great. So, whatever you would like to. I mean, Jeremy, do you have any questions before we get started?
No, I don't. I don't think so. She could just introduce herself.
Great. Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be here on the podcast with you whenever you're listening. So, I'm officially Dr. Alice Rizzi because I am a clinical psychologist. That being said, people just call me Alice. And in addition to being a psychologist, I'm also a mindfulness coach because mindfulness is something I've been really passionate about for over 10 years now. And it's something that I use in my New York City-based private practice, and it's something that I've recently started creating courses on so that more and more people can learn what exactly mindfulness is and how it applies to them in their life.
I think that's fantastic. So what is mindfulness? Does it give us more peace, more joy, more freedom?
Yes, all of the above, especially when you practice it regularly. The way that I define, I have my own definition of mindfulness because there's not really a one set definition. Kind of researchers, other psychologists, people in general define mindfulness in different ways. So my explanation is this. Mindfulness is the quality of being present in the moment with awareness, acceptance, kindness, compassion, curiosity, and non-judgment. So that might sound like a lot, but you don't have to keep all of it in mind at all times. It's just something that happens naturally the more that you practice it.
That makes sense.
So, yeah, awareness in the present moment, acceptance, kindness, compassion, curiosity, non-judgment. And there are different ways to practice mindfulness. So I think part of the reason a lot of times people have a negative view of mindfulness is because they think mindfulness is just meditation, and then they might have negative connotations about what meditation is. And for some people, it might be like too religious or spiritual or woo-woo or not enough, and or they think it's too scientific and like too rigid. And really, mindfulness and meditation are two different concepts. They are related, but you can actually be mindful in your day-to-day life without ever practicing meditation. That being said, if you do meditate, especially do a mindfulness meditation, that will only improve and increase all of those positive things that you can get out of it. Like you said, like inner peace, joy, focus, attention, presence, being grounded, being happy, being fulfilled. You can have all of that. And the more you practice both mindfulness in your day-to-day life and mindfulness meditation, the more likely you are to experience those things.
I done a mindfulness meditation off of YouTube. I'm not sure if that's anything that you're talking about.
That totally counts. Yeah.
Okay.
there's different styles of meditation, right? So like mindfulness meditation is just one type of meditation, but that you can do mindfulness meditation off of YouTube. There's tons of great apps that you can do mindfulness from, and you can even do your own mindfulness without listening to something, just being present yourself. And I can talk a little bit more about how to do that as well.
Yeah, the one I did was like a guided one, and it was actually really good. And because it's like it started at the top of your head and everything, and it's basically got you to focus on everything going down through your body. And I mean, I went into it open minded, and just not being judgmental or anything. And I was like, wow, it actually worked.
Yeah, I'm curious about how the mindfulness meditation works, and especially for people who are listening, if you would give us an example, or if you would like to run through a mindfulness meditation to help those people out there who may be looking for something.
Yeah, so I thought maybe we could save that to the end of the episode, like maybe the last 3-4 minutes that we have, we can do a mindfulness meditation together.
Oh,
that'd be cool. Yeah.
That would be that would be fantastic. Oh,
Great.
so if we're gonna save that till the end, what is the role of your job being being a a psychologist?
Yeah. So psychologists can do a lot of different things. My sort of brand of psychology, if you will, is therapy. Meaning, I have my own private practice where I meet with people one on one. It's all virtual, especially since COVID. It's all been virtual, just through video. Sometimes it's by phone, but I don't have a physical office. I don't actually meet in person. And that's actually really great for a lot of people because it cuts down on their commute, it saves them money, and they're also comfortable in their own homes or wherever we are meeting. So there's a lot of advantages to meeting with somebody virtually. And I find that the therapy that we do is no less successful or beneficial virtually than it was when I used to meet with people in person. So I
Yeah.
just wanted to get that out of the way in case anybody has reservations about virtual therapy. But in one-on-one therapy, I meet with clients, and my specialty is stress, anxiety, and OCD, or obsessive compulsive disorder. And so I work with a lot of working professionals, especially who either have like day-to-day stressors from work, family, relationships, whatever else is going on, might have different levels of anxiety, from like anxiety about the relationship or the work, or more like panic disorder, social anxiety, all the way through OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, which actually shows up in many more ways than people realize. And there's a lot of stigma with the OCD and what it looks like, and a lot of misunderstanding. And so people are actually like, they're so grateful and relieved when they find a person that understands their experiences on a deep level. And I think, to me, like, that is one of the biggest benefits that therapy offers, is that sense of relief. Like, wow, you get me. You understand what I'm going through. Even if I've never gone through specifically what they've gone through, because of my training, I understand how it works, and I can offer them a safe space to talk about it. And on top of that, my brand of therapy is very skills based. So we solve problems, we troubleshoot things that aren't working, and we're always looking at, okay, what are the things that are working in your life? Great, let's keep doing that. What are the things that aren't working for you in your life? Is it your thought patterns? Is it how you react to different emotions? Is it the choices that you make in your day-to-day life? And whatever the case may be, we work on those things together. So it's like you always have somebody in your corner backing you up, helping you move forward, especially when you're feeling stuck.
My smile's a mile wide.
Yeah.
Just listening from that. Um, I appreciate you for what you are doing, have done, what you've gone through to get to where you are. That's very important to many people. And so with that, there's a lot of people on the other side who are adverse to getting help for their
Mm-hmm.
mind and for things that they're going through, things that they might not even realize that's going on. But somebody has suggested, hey, have you tried to talk to a counselor, a therapist, a psychologist, a psychiatrist? Um,
Mm-hmm.
what would be the means of getting somebody to maybe step out of their comfort zone and go try one of those things?
Well, just to make sure that I understand, when you say what would be the means, do you mean like the practical steps of how to find a therapist? Or do you mean almost like mentally what they need to say to themselves in order to get themselves to even start looking?
The steps, and then you can work to what that person needs to do on their own to get them to step out of the comfort zone.
Yeah, I mean, well, the practical steps are, you can always start by just Googling like therapist near me. If there's a specific thing that you want help with, for example, anxiety, you might type anxiety therapist near me, anxiety therapist in Alabama, OCD therapist near me, whatever that is, just to start getting like people's websites out there so that you can take a look at them. And so, other than Google, there's also a ton of therapy directories where you go, and it's literally just lists and lists and lists of different types of therapists. So, one of the biggest directories is Psychology Today. So you can go on Psychology Today and you can even filter by like, do you want a specific gendered therapist? Do you want a therapist from a specific religion or a specific race? And then what specialties do you want them to have? Anxiety, depression, bipolar, schizophrenia. And then you can filter by insurance. What is your medical insurance? And do you need to meet with somebody that is covered by your medical insurance, or are you willing or wanting to pay out of pocket, which means they don't accept your insurance? And that also means that your insurance then doesn't have access to your mental health records, which for a lot of people, that's important. And so in addition to Psychology Today, I can give you a couple of other websites that people can go on. HelloAlma.com, HelloAlma.com is a great website that is also a therapy directory where most of the therapists do take some form of medical insurance. So if you go to that website specifically and you filter by your insurance, you're more likely to find somebody. There's another website called inclusivetherapist.com. And I really like them and their mission because the whole point is inclusivity, diversity, equity, so that everybody can get mental health services. Nice. And the people they have there are both do take insurance and don't. It kind of like ranges. And I'm sorry, did you have a question about that?
No, I just said nice. I like the inclusiveness part.
Yeah, and Therapy Den is another directory that is also like really values inclusivity, acceptance, diversity. So therapyden.com. And there's many more like them. My personal recommendation to people is whoever you find on any of these profiles or Google, try to go to their website, like their personal website if they have one, because that's always going to be more thorough than whatever like one-page profile they have on the directory. And it's going to give you a better sense of like their style, their personality. And so like on my website, for example, I have several different tabs that talk about stress, anxiety, OCD. They talk about the different types of treatments that I offer. I have a blog there with personal articles that I've written. They can link to different videos, both that I've done as well as additional resources. And so even just like from the language that I use on my page, people are like, oh, yes, I want to work with this person, or, oh, no, like she's not a good fit for me. And I do have an article, by the way, on my blog that talks about what does therapy, quote, fit mean. A lot of times therapists talk about being a good fit. So fit is kind of like in quotes, what does therapy fit mean? And like, how do I find a therapist who's a good fit? So if anybody is interested, that's on my website, dralicerizzi.com.
Cool.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, especially, our listener base, will hopefully take a look at Psychologist Today or Inclusive Therapy, Therapy Done, Hello Alma, because, we have I would believe, because I can't see how diverse our listener base is, but I can give you, that range. I gave you that range of people. And I think they would be interested in finding somebody, for whoever they need, whatever they need, their needs are, and whatever diverse group they're a part of. So I fully believe that people are going to get the help they need if they take the right steps. So what are the steps that they probably need to, get in themselves to go after they've looked at these people, to go and say, all right, I need the help?
Yeah, I mean, I think so much of it honestly is like mental, in the sense that like people psych themselves out, like, and they get in their heads about like, what is this person going to think about me? What are they going to judge me by? Like, are they going to be able to help me? And then a lot of times people go into the worst case scenario. Like, nobody understands me, like I'm too far gone, like my problem is too severe, too serious, or it's too stupid. Like, is it even worth talking about it with somebody? I must be the only one dealing with this thing. And the truth is, you're never alone. There's multiple people, probably like in the hundreds of thousands, that have probably gone through something very similar that you've gone through. And there's people out there trained to help people just like you. And they're not coming at it from a place of judgment or persecution or like wanting to make you feel bad. that most of us therapists are service-based individuals, meaning the way that we want to impact people is by helping them, by supporting them through, by helping them realize how much courage it takes, how brave they are, and how much like it means to the world that they are there, no matter what they're going through. And so just to go into it, like you said, with an open mind and a willingness that like it actually is possible that there are people out there that want to help you. Like, I think that's one of the first like mental, emotional steps to get yourself into like, this person is here to help me. And so then you can go search for, okay, what kind of person do I want to help me? And so let's say you go in these directories, Psychology Today, Inclusive Therapist, their website, whatever. Most people will have like a contact me button. And so a lot of therapists have like a free 15-minute consultation. So you call the number and you set up an appointment and you talk with this person for 15 minutes to help you figure out, is this person a good fit for me? And that could be based on the specific problem that you're going through, your background. It could be related to like finances or insurance. And the fit goes both ways. Like the therapist will let you know if they think they can help you. Like that is a big part of fit. And so a lot of times, like, don't get discouraged if at some point a therapist tells you, you know what, I don't think we're a good fit, because all they're saying is, I'm not the best person to help you. I want somebody to help you. I can acknowledge that you are asking for this help. Let's find you somebody that will be the quote perfect fit for you.
Yeah, it's not trying to be a mean thing or nothing.
Yeah.
You're basically saying that there's better help out there.
Yeah, and that's so important because like fit and like the rapport or like the relationship you have with a therapist, that's going to be one of the keys to getting you what you actually want out of the treatment. Like you need to work with somebody who you feel like you can open up to, that you can be honest with, that you can share any sort of thoughts or feelings that come up for you. That's how you're going to get the most out of the therapy. And if you end up feeling like you're dreading your sessions, like you can't be honest with this person and you are feeling judged, all that means, and it doesn't have to be catastrophic, all that means is that person might not be a good fit for you. And it might not be something that you did or they did. It's just not a good fit. And so not to let yourself get discouraged and kind of go back to looking at more people that you can work with. And, unfortunately, what sometimes ends up happening is people have one negative experience with therapy and then they think, oh, therapy sucks. Therapy isn't for me. Nobody can help me. But the truth is sometimes you have to go through 2, 3, 17 therapists before you find one that works for you. But when you do, it's almost like magical. You feel like this is my person. This is somebody that I feel safe with. This is somebody that I know has my back always, no matter what, even when it's hard, even when we disagree, even when I'm frustrated or they're frustrated, I can still open up to them. And I would rather like go through this life with them by my side than not. And it's a very unique kind of a relationship. This might sound like I'm describing like a best friend or a romantic partner. A therapist is a very different kind of individual
like
in your life.
A fairy godmother in a sense.
In a sense, yeah. I mean, there's very clear boundaries. Don't
Yeah.
We have to get into that today.
Yeah.
But like, just sort of emphasize the click that you feel with that person.
In high school, I would go like mandatory once a quarter to my counselor, right? And I didn't really start, using that service that, the school provided until like my senior year. And I was like just unloading on this poor lady, and I love her to death. I will always love her to death. But I would just unload and I'd be like, I am so sorry that like
she's probably thinking, man, I'm not getting paid enough for this.
But I was like, I'm glad that they had that opportunity, availed to me to go see a counselor and like just spill my guts sometimes. I feel like I would just be always open. I'd be like, this is what I'm going through and I don't know what to do.
Someone was listening and you took advantage of it. You just started talking.
But the thing is, I mean, most therapists, I would imagine, aren't actually thinking that, right? Because like that is literally their job, to provide you with that support, to have you come and have a venting space where you can unload And it's not a burden to them. That's literally what they've signed up for. They are here for that, so to speak.
Oh yeah.
So this rolls into stigmas around mental health.
Mhm.
So what are some stigmas that you faced with mental health and psychology and you being a psychologist?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think for a lot of people, it's just a misunderstanding, like what it is and what benefits it can provide, as well as who it's for, right? So a lot of times people like might say, "Oh, but I'm not crazy, so I don't need a therapist." And it's kind of like, well, what does crazy even mean, right? Like we're all our own brand of crazy.
Yeah.
Like I'm crazy, you're crazy, like we're all crazy. And the thing is, people all think that their thoughts are like so unique to them. And it's like, no, other people have these like weird, bizarre, like unique thoughts, but like they've all had them at some point in time. Um, and so like that is often a stigma. Like I have to have a certain type of crazy before I seek help. And that's not true. Like you can go and speak to a therapist or a counselor for anything and everything. And like it could literally be like, it's hard for me to remember things. You can talk about that with your therapist. It's hard for me to pay attention or focus. You can talk about that with your therapist. I'm going through a breakup or I can't find a relationship. You can talk about that with your therapist. I have like not a great boss, or I have an employee or a coworker that I don't get along with. You can talk about that with your therapist. So it's like people make up this threshold of how much pain and suffering I have to be in before I talk to somebody about it. And it's like, no, like you don't have to be at 100 capacity before you see somebody. You could be at like a 2, and it's still okay for you to go talk to somebody.
Yeah, I think that's one of the main things is that people don't realize with mental health or the mental health field that's different than the physical is, or the medical side is, you have to, you have to have a fever or a broken bone or a reason
Yeah.
to go to see your doctor or pediatrician. With, like you said, with a therapist, you don't have to be showing any physical signs on the outside. You don't have to be showing depression. You can be literally white knuckling it so bad that, you're not showing a single sign whenever you go out in public, but you're just thinking to yourself, okay, well, I'm fine. No one's saying anything about it, so I don't need a therapist like you're saying. But, you're right that
Mm-hmm.
people, I mean, whether it's just, you have problems spraying too much Lysol on doorknobs or something, or like, I guess what I tell people, because I'm diagnosed bipolar 1 with depression,
Mm-hmm.
and I have now, I was sitting there, I did the math, so I was 6 years now diagnosed. And
Mm-hmm.
when people were like, they might ask me like, I think I might be bipolar. I think I might have OCD or something. I normally tell them, and I'm not any type of certification or anything like that, but I'm like, if it's taken away from your daily life, your family life, and your work life, it's, it's
Mm-hmm.
taking out, parts of your day and every day the same time, or the same thing, then that's when I would recommend you reaching out for help. If you're noticeably having
Mm-hmm.
to inconvenience your day every single day for it, then yeah, you might have OCD, or you might have anxiety or depression or severe depression
Yeah.
disorder and stuff like that. So
And sometimes, you know what, like a lot of times, I've been hearing this more and more in the media, like people talk about like high functioning anxiety or high functioning depression. And all that means is that you're still suffering, but it's just other people don't know about it. And
yeah,
like, it's almost like you've learned to hide it so well that other people think things are great for you when they're actually not. So like, yes, there are certain people do have it affect like their morning routines, how they show up at the job, or if they can work at all, or at school, or with their families. And then other people, like they can still function and like everything looks quote normal, but inside they're dying. And so it's like, it's okay to ask for help either way.
yeah,
Maybe some listeners needed to hear that, Alice. I think that's very wholesome of what you said. Is they're dying inside and they still need help.
Yeah.
Uh,
And, one of the things that I talk a lot about with my clients that I think is underrated in a sense is self-worth, like self-worth, self-love, self-compassion. It's believing that you are worth it, Like, you're worthy of feeling better. You are worthy of getting help. You deserve to be supported. And it's for so many people, like, with depression, with bipolar, with anxiety, people think I don't deserve to be helped. Like,
Yeah.
why should I even bother? Like, I'm such an X type of person that, like, therapy isn't for me, help isn't for me, life isn't for me. And so we go into like self-worth work a lot and helping you recognize that you are a worthy individual, that you were born worthy, you were born enough, and you deserve to have what you want in this life.
And I think there's some people out there too that's pushing it to the side or, ignoring it because they're either single parent or they have an elderly parent that they're having to take care of, or, they have something else that they're, oh, well, I'll see a therapist whenever, so-and-so graduates or whenever, the baby gets a little older or something. It's like, no, go see it now. It only takes like 30 minutes or sometimes an hour to go do a session, and you can do it like once every 2 weeks, and you'll
Yeah.
improve your relationship with your child and or with your kids, or it'll help you, don't put it
Mm-hmm.
off, but get yourself focused, like you said, that self-care and that self-worth,
Yeah.
get that to 100%,
And
and
not
then
only that, but when you do that, you're actually are doing something called modeling. You are modeling to your kids or your family or your friends that that is okay and that they can do that too, right? So like if I go to therapy, I'm showing other people that it's okay to go to therapy. If I practice self-care and I treat myself with respect, I show my children that they can and should treat themselves and other people with respect. You show your parents like actually like there's nothing wrong with this, that like the stigma of like 50 years from then like doesn't have to be a thing anymore. And that actually like we all do better basically when we all do better. So like this is one way to like contribute to that.
yeah.
That's fantastic. I like modeling. Modeling sounds great. Just
Yeah,
be
I mean, it's one way, like, I teach, especially my clients that have children, that every time, like, you take even 10 minutes to yourself to go practice mindfulness, to journal, to go to something fun, to like practice a hobby or an instrument, you are showing your kids that it's good and normal and positive to have fun in your life, to have play in your life, to have relaxation in your life, that it's okay for you to prioritize yourself because then you're better able to take care of them. You were able to give back more to them.
I can see that breaking down stigmatism too, with like people within your workplace, or people your age, older adult life and stuff, and people you can't
Mm-hmm.
physically see a change. I mean, I guess you can in some sense. You can see more energy in people, but as far you can't see a lot of physical change as far as a mental health change if someone's going to a therapist. So just modeling and just showing an improvement and just being a living example for what you're trying to do to help yourself is a big enough thing to that person to be like, oh wow, okay, maybe therapists, it's not so much of a joke. And maybe a man
Yeah.
going and getting help out, a single dad, or even a dad that's still married, is blue collar or something, that's always coming home and complaining and all that, and doesn't want to level down or whatever, or stoop down to the level of saying that he is depressed or whatever. But if he sees someone else in his workforce doing it, and 2 or 3 months later, he's like, wow, that guy's actually, you know, making a change. And man, that gave him a promotion too. It's because he's getting more stuff done around work. He's showing up more. He's on time.
Yeah, and to add more to like breaking down stigma, I don't know if you guys have heard of the podcast Am I a Bad Therapist?
Oh no.
Um, that's one podcast, and you can gather probably from the name, like, Am I a Bad Therapist? It's basically therapists coming together to talk about moments that they've had that have been
That's
like oops moments, or like I'm human too.
that's
And I
crazy.
think because a lot of times people have this vision that, oh, my therapist has figured it all out. They have it all together. They're perfect. They have like their high standards. And
Yeah.
like, no, therapists are people too. Like we have feelings, we screw up, we make mistakes. And, even like with mindfulness, I could talk about being, compassionate and kind and just all of those great things, but like I still have judgments pop up because I'm still human. Like I still watch bad reality TV and make fun of the people that go on. And like that's my outlet, like that's how I practice being human. And so it's kind of like letting yourself off the hook a little bit. Like we're all human. We all go through the same processes. And it's like when you go to therapy, you actually allow yourself to experience that. And it's even kind of like when you listen to these podcasts, right? Like you listen to how other people are living their lives, what their experiences are. And in a lot of ways, it helps you feel more connected to them. Like, oh, wow, like they're just like me. And at the same time, their lives are totally different from mine.
Yeah, that's what I love more is when people are more transparent, and it's easier just to actually communicate and get along with someone, and I guess just to actually vibe with them when they're actually transparent with themselves, when they go through their struggles with you and tell you their success and how they got the help they're doing and how they're doing daily life now and everything, and it's just easier to communicate like that.
Yeah. And just for a moment, I want to go back to one of your previous questions about like what steps can individuals take. So let's say you have somebody like who doesn't feel like they're even ready to start talking to somebody, so like the mindfulness is one thing that they can start practicing, and we'll talk more about how to do that. But the second thing can be journaling. I don't know if that's something that you've already talked about on the podcast, but journaling can help start bringing more awareness into your life. What am I thinking? What am I feeling? What is my body trying to tell me? Like when I talk to this person, what comes up for me? When like I talk to my boss or my girlfriend or my son, like what feelings pop up for me? When I have difficult conversations or easy conversations, or when I do something fun, what is that like? When you start journaling, like seeing things on the page can be so illuminating. Like you can have so much awareness and insight. And it's like when you go see a therapist, it's an extension of that. A lot of times people say something out loud and they're like, oh, wait, I don't actually mean that, or I don't actually believe that. And like the therapist like can look at you sometimes and be like, are you sure about that? And like once they process that and like let it out, they're like, no, you know what? Yeah, I don't think like that. And like the journaling can have a little bit of that same effect.
Yeah.
So you can start by journaling, seeing what comes up for you, and that might lead you over time to be like feel a little bit more ready to see a therapist, because it's just an extension of that. And you can have more awareness, more acceptance, more sense of connection and understanding.
Okay.
Yeah, I think journaling is important. I think being, human and actually having connections. I was in Hobby Lobby and I literally just, was talking about the podcast, and people were like, or somebody was like, really? There's a podcast about this? And I was like, yeah, I mean, we're out there, just listen in, if you need help, if you want to just start your personal growth journey, a podcast is a nice place to start, or finding one of these websites. If we would like to do the mindfulness meditation now, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
I'd love to. We're coming up to the end of the show, and I would love to do a mindfulness meditation with you and Jeremy.
Absolutely. So is it okay if I give just a little bit of background on it? Like, yeah. So when I talk about mindfulness, I always I make the differentiation between everyday mindfulness and mindfulness meditation. So mindfulness meditation is like when you dedicate a specific amount of time on a regular basis to sit and practice this thing. And this thing could be like bringing your attention or focus to your breath or your body or sounds or things that you can see. But what makes it a meditation is that you've set this dedicated space and time for doing it regularly. Whereas everyday mindfulness is being present and in the moment with all those qualities that we talked about as you just go through the day. So you can be mindful as you're doing the dishes, when you're noticing the smell of the soap or the texture of the cup that you're washing or how much water is in the sponge, Like when you're showering, like what temperature is the water at? How does it feel like when the steam builds up? When you're taking a walk, like putting one foot in front of the other, what are those sensations like? So that's everyday mindfulness. And even journaling is everyday mindfulness. When you go to therapy, that's everyday mindfulness because you're gaining more awareness, acceptance, you're practicing curiosity and non-judgment and all of those things. So what you and I are going to do together now is going to be like a formal mindfulness meditation practice, but it's only going to be a couple of minutes long because it doesn't have to be like an hour of meditation every day. You can literally start with like 2-3 minutes a day. You could start with 30 seconds a day of just doing a couple of deep breaths to bring yourself into this moment. And all that means is that your mind isn't on like your to-do list or like what you're going to feed the kids or the work that you have tomorrow. And it's not on like past mistakes or errors that you made. And that's not to say that your mind isn't going to wander there. That's actually the essence of the practice. Your mind will wander. You will think about those things. And the practice is in noticing that your mind went there and then gently bringing it back to the present moment. So that's kind of what we're going to be practicing when we do this meditation together.
Okay. Exciting.
So, so yeah, wherever you are, you want to, for this practice, sitting, being in a seated position. When people do this elsewhere, they can be laying down, they can be standing. But sitting is a standard practice. And you'll have probably both feet on the ground or in a balanced position underneath you. Some people like to sit cross-legged. It's a posture that you can sustain for just the next couple of minutes. And so if you feel comfortable closing your eyes, otherwise just averting your gaze downward, beginning by taking a couple of deep breaths. Inhaling through the nose and slowly exhaling through the mouth. Inhaling through the nose. Exhaling through the mouth. Inhaling, noticing the air going through your throat, opening up your chest and your stomach. And on the exhale, feeling your stomach deflate, your chest and shoulders drop as the air leaves your body. Allowing your breath to settle into its natural pace, not trying to control it in any way, not trying to hold it or breathe in any type of way, simply noticing your body breathing. Almost thinking of yourself as an observer, like you're standing there watching yourself breathe. The breath is something you can always return to. We sometimes refer to it as the anchor. The breath as the anchor because you always have it with you no matter where you are. You could drop into your body and feel yourself breathing. And as we're doing this exercise, you probably will notice your mind wandering. And you might think about what you're going to have for dinner tonight or where you're going to go. Or you might notice judgy thoughts like this is stupid, this is silly, what's the point of this? Noticing yourself to have these thoughts and then gently, without any further judgment, bringing your attention back to the breath, wherever it is in your body. Maybe you feel the breath the most in your chest or in your stomach. And if you like, you can even put the palm of one hand on your chest and the palm of the other hand on your body, just to increase that connection to yourself. And feel the breath, literally feeling your stomach opening up on each inhale and deflating on each exhale. And you can feel the warmth of your body. You might be able to feel your heart beating. And noticing what happens as we keep going through the practice. And your mind will wander again. I don't want to do this. I'm tired. I'm hungry. The kids are screaming. There's cars outside. You'll notice yourself getting distracted, and that's okay. Notice those things. And then again, gently, with compassion, turn yourself back to the breath, wherever you feel it in this moment. And now taking one last long, deep breath in, inhaling through the nose, and gently, slowly exhaling through the mouth. As you wiggle your fingers and your toes, stretch your head out a little bit, and then blink your eyes open.
I feel
That was cool.
totally relaxed. I appreciate that. We are at the top of the show, I guess. That was fantastic. That was a great, easy way for, our listeners to go through a mindful meditation. Even if they're listening to the podcast and they're like, oh, they're doing a mindful meditation right now, I can do that, easy.
I mean, that one's something you like go to the car at work or whatever if you like get too anxious or something and just recenter yourself with.
Absolutely, like the car, the bathroom, in the kitchen, like on the couch. It doesn't take much effort and it doesn't take any equipment, and all you need is just yourself.
Yeah.
And like what I love about mindfulness practice is that there's no way to do it wrong. If you're distracted, then you notice that you're distracted. If your mind is racing, then you notice that your mind is racing. If it's loud, then you notice how loud it is. If you have an itch, you notice that you have an itch.
Yeah.
And then all you're doing is just bringing your attention back to the present moment again and again and again. And that's the practice. That's literally the practice. That's the muscle that you're training, is learning to bring your attention back to the moment. And that's how it translates into your everyday life. Imagine when you're getting distracted by every which way in your daily life, the stronger that muscle is, the more you're able to say, nope, this is what I'm paying attention to right now. Nope, I'm going to do that later. Right now, I'm here. And it helps you be more present, grounded, focused, and experiencing everything this moment has to offer.
That's great.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So to close out, I appreciate you being here, Jeremy. I'm sure appreciate you being here on the podcast.
I'm over here relaxed on the couch.
If you would like to plug your website or any of your social medias or anything that you would like, do so right now. We appreciate you being on.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I mean, for therapy, for anybody who is in New York or Florida, they can look up my therapy website at dralicerizzi.com. For anybody who's just curious about mindfulness, my website is togethermindful.com. And I actually have a totally free course that people can sign up for, where I have 7 days worth of 3-minute meditation, just like the ones that we did, but just like with a different focus every day, and a couple of training videos, all just 3 minutes long, so that nobody has the excuse of I don't have time. Literally all you need is 3 minutes a day, and they can sign up for that totally free on togethermindful.com. And I'm also on Instagram at Dr. Alice Rizzi. If anybody wants to follow me there, I talk about mindfulness, all like the nuances, the differences, how to bring it into your day-to-day life, how to meditate, and then, funny videos of my dog.
Awesome.
Everybody enjoys those.
Yeah, so thank you both so much for having me. I really hope someone out there listening has a more positive idea of therapy or mindfulness, and that's thanks to you guys. So I appreciate you.
Thank you. If you'll stay on the line, we'll talk after I do our outro, and it's been fantastic. So just stay on the line, and I'm about to do our outro, and then we'll talk to you in a bit. Okay?
Great. Thanks.
We want to thank Dr. Alice Rizzi for coming on. Go like and subscribe and follow to her. This is the Golden Spoon Podcast. I'm McCall.
And I'm Jeremy.
And we'll talk to y'all next time.
Appreciate it.